What is up, everybody? We are here for another Mojo Sessions. We've got Bob Means from eBay, and we're going to talk eBay Vault. I actually just started using it about a month ago myself, and I'm very excited to talk about this with Bob. How you doing today, Bob?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So let's get right into the vault, because I know collectors are trying to figure out where to, put their cards. So give us a generic overview of the eBay Vault.
Yeah, let me tell you about the basics of the vault. So any card above $250 that's been graded by the big four, SGC, CGC, Beckett, and PSA, is a vault eligible card. What would happen is while you're checking out, you'll see a thing that says send to the vault. If you're not enrolled in the vault, that would trigger an enrollment process, which helps us have a second layer of security to protect your card. And then you can send it to the vault. And once it's in the vault, the security is there, temp control, humidity control. It's an incredibly secure place to keep your card. The goal here is that you keep it there until such a time that you decide that you want to sell it. And if you sell it, there's no selling fees. And I think that people are slowly starting to realize this, which is kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's in a very high level. That's the goal. The vault can also help you build your collection and save on some sales tax because it's in a sales tax free state. So here in California, if I want to keep all my cards in the vault, it's going to save me a little bit of money. And then again, the most important thing is when it comes time to sell, I have a zero final value fee. So I'm going to sell it, and then eBay is going to take care of all the fulfillment as well. So if it goes, if we're shipping it out, then that will be taken care of as well. And it's also a final sale too. So, if I've got a card and it's been sitting in the vault for 6 months, and then I decide, I'm ready to sell this to free up some cash so I can go get another card. It's a very hands-free process. I accept an offer, or I can run it as an auction, or I can lower my price to a best offer, whatever I want to do to get it to move the card. And that's all going to happen, be very seamless, and be taken care of by eBay. All the cards still go through the authenticity guarantee program. So we know that anything that has gone into the vault is a legit card and has been authenticated as in it to be sitting in an authentic case. And ultimately we just see people that are getting to a point where owning a card in a digital sense, though you have the physical ownership of the card, is something that people are getting more and more comfortable with.
Yep.
I think there's a couple things that are driving that. One can be cards falling out of your closet and out of your attic and out of your, out of every drawer you have.
Mm-hmm.
And you're realizing that, I need to find another way of storing some of these things. But I just think the other thing is we're just getting more and more used to having ownership of things that are in a digital space.
Yeah.
And long term, what we see happening here is there's going to be people who are going to be adding to their collection and never physically taking possession of the card. And then the last thing is kind of, I guess, more than a basic overview. The other thing that I love about that is what I've seen in my time here is one of the scariest parts of any transaction is that shipment.
Yeah.
Things seem to go sideways once that's out there in the logistics network of shipping. No matter who you're doing your shipping with, that's when just the crazy things happen. And
Mm-hmm.
if you've got a $1,000 card, and it's bumping around on some dirt road in the back of a mail truck, that's super scary. And so those are some of the things that keeping your assets in a safe location and then just letting them trade as necessary is, I think it's going to be something that people get really used to as part of the hobby.
Yeah, and I agree. I bought a Shohei Ohtani refractor PSA 10, and my goal with that one is it's in the off season, so he starts playing MVP level again. I can easily, with a click of a button, put it back up for sale. And then also you brought up a great point, because sometimes, I have a business of cards and I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about, hey, is somebody going to break into my, steal my cards, where you guys have a much more secure vault. Also, you brought up a good point of things falling out of drawers. I think my wife, likes the space where my cards are in the house. So they'd much rather find another home for those. But it seems to be, really easy to use. I've bought in a couple cards, and I also don't have to wait to make sure it comes in. Like you said, sometimes you have to videotape it coming in and make sure it's in the condition that it's in. You guys are doing all that for everyone. So
we're doing that SNAD check for you, making sure that it's the card that you said, it's the same serial number that you thought you bought. All of that security is being taken care of. We know we know how important that is to everyone. It's important to me. It's important to you. You know, we're all part of the hobby. We're all hearing the exact same stories from everybody. So it makes it easier to understand what we have to build into our process to make sure that people are going to be comfortable with these things. I love the fact that you got a show. I think I think there's a point where some of these cards are getting to the point where you just can't leave them on your desk as a cool display, right?
Right.
They're becoming so valuable as alternative assets that they need to be treated as assets. Not, you know, there's always going to be these cards that people have that mean a lot to them and don't necessarily have huge financial value. Some of my favorite cards have no value attached to them at all, besides my emotional attachment. And that's cool. Like, I can have those out. Those are great conversation starters, and people come by and they see them. We're at a dinner party, we're hosting dinners, people come by, they see them, and I tell them the story. Wonderful. That's a great part of collecting. But as we move into this alternative asset world where you're now thinking about something as a long-term investment or a short-term or medium-term investment, the vault really works for you. And then the last thing, like you said, if it's just pure storage, it's pure storage. That's going to work for you as well.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that drew me to it. And it was super easy. I literally clicked the button to send it to it. And then immediately, I think it was within 5 seconds, I actually went to my eBay vault on my app and it already showed in there. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like, wow, this is awesome. And then there's some statistics and how much you've spent, and that's all good data. And, like me, like I have cards everywhere. So it's like, if somebody wants to see a card that I have, it's hard for me to find it sometimes. So like with this, I could just pull up the phone and be like, hey, here's my card. I got it in the eBay vault. If you're interested, we can, swap right away.
That's why we see Vault as part of a suite of tools that we're now offering, right? We've got our price guide tool. We've got our collection management tool. I 100% agree. Like, I think having that collection capability becoming more and more robust, we need to keep iterating on it and making it better. But at some point, I can see a place where you and I are having a fun conversation in a live setting, and we're talking about our collections. And basically, it's coming down to, I'm showing you my phone, you're showing me yours, and we're seeing what each other have, and we're oohing and ahhing over it and having a great conversation. And then from there, we could actually trade. Like, if those cards are in the vault, you start to create in the world of like, oh, well, let's go. I'll sell this to you. You sell that to me. Here we go. And it starts to move in that way. I agree. I also think a lot of people are trying to figure out how to think about their collection in one place.
Yep.
And the collection manager is a great tool for that, because if it's physically at our vault, or if it's physically in your house, it will be in your collection, and you can know what to do with it from that point. And also the collection manager, we're going to build in the capability of just creating a listing from it. So should you have something physically in your house, then you can easily also get that up on eBay as well.
Nice. Wow, that's great. And what makes the vault stand out from its competitors?
There's quite a few vaults out there. You're exactly right. And the number one thing that I say is we're eBay, SEC regulated company, very, very large. We have the capability of making sure that the security is top notch on every single level, and we're not going to just disappear. Right. Unfortunately, in the market, we've already seen some smaller companies that were got built in the last year are sort of evaporating, and some of them are holding inventory of other people, and that's not going to happen to eBay. Your inventory is going to be safe. It's an asset under management. It's literally the way we're thinking about it. It's an asset under our management, and so we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that it's taken care of. So I like to think that the number one thing you're getting, the number one difference, is just the wholehearted support of eBay Inc.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, your customer service has always been great. I mean, being able to get a hold of somebody on any issue, you can get a hold of somebody 24/7. And I think you hit it on the head with name recognition. I mean, we've been waiting for something like this for a long time. We haven't used any of the other ones because of that. Like, how long are they going to be here? What history do they have? I mean, you guys are one of the top websites in the world. So, I mean, everybody knows the name. It's synonymous with Coca-Cola, Pepsi. When you think of an auction, you think of a website for trading cards, you think of eBay. So I think that's a great point of just knowing the background, knowing the name, and feeling comfortable that if you're buying something, that this company's not going to go away anytime soon. So,
I appreciate that. And again, there are people that the vault is their business. And there are people that have a vault as a supplemental piece of another part of their business.
Mm-hmm.
We're really looking at the vault as a component of a greater business, as part of our trading card business at eBay. And then, we also are seeing it as, like, I personally see it as something that can expand as well. So that's, this is not a it's not a random idea that we're going to run with and see what happens. Like, this is an important strategic pillar of how we're going to grow our collectible business here at eBay.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned trade. So that is something that is going to be in the future, where I can trade my card with another eBay vault user and it'll just happen? Or is there's like certain procedures that have to be done to do something like
No,
that?
so this is when my job is a lot of fun. When I get to just think about what the future needs to be,
Mm-hmm.
these are the kind of things that I want to see. I want to see the ability for you to, especially if you have things in the vault, like a hands-free transaction, so to speak.
Right.
I think these are the kind of things that would do nothing but enhance the hobby. They're not on that kind of activity is not on our roadmap right now. But those are the things that you naturally can imagine an iterative process to get to.
Yeah, I mean, we've always thought about how could this happen. Everybody's like, how can we trade? How can you trade? And you always like, you need a middle person to kind of handle the trade. Well, if a middle person has both cards in hand, then it's something that's definitely a possibility.
Well, one of my favorite things that I've seen as part of the hobby are trade nights.
Yeah,
and on a Wednesday night at the National or whatever, and everyone's gathering in a hotel lobby and bringing their cases of all of their cards, and there's an eagerness to make a different type of transaction. And so I think that that's something that's just, it's a great environment. It's a fun environment. And I think it's an important thing. It's an important component of the hobby. So yeah, it's of high interest to us to figure out how to be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just my brain is just going right now because not everybody can make the National, but if you could have a virtual trade night on eBay Live, I mean, just imagine the possibilities of what could happen. So hopefully something similar or is down the pipeline. But I think we've been looking for that element as far as collectors that can't make it to events, or maybe there's not an event. Maybe you're in a small town, you're not able to go to somewhere.
That's the other thing to think about. So eBay, when we started, what was amazing about it was we opened up someone who lives in, a corner of North Dakota and is a huge Spider-Man fan, but can't get Spider-Man comics. Right now, that person was able to get it from all over the place. And then conversely, sellers, maybe you've got a small store that has the radius of, a car ride. Well, now suddenly you had a domestic and international audience that you could reach out to. And so that was great. That was what built eBay. That's what we were created on, was connecting people. But the hobbies and the various businesses out there have moved and progressed. And so we've got to think about, okay, what's next for that then? And again, I think the vault is just going to be a fun part of that progression.
Now, you mentioned Spider-Man, which leads me to my next question. Is the vault planning to expand to other collectibles other than trading cards?
We have to learn about trading cards and use trading cards to better understand the vault. But yes, I mean, it's not planned, but we were just in Art Basel, which is an art show. And we were explaining trading cards as an alternative asset to people, and they got it. And the immediate question was, well, what about art? What about, all of these things that storage is necessary as a long-term investment are super interesting for us to think about.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's, you got records, you got video games, there's just so many different collectibles out there that would be very fun to put some of that stuff in there. I guess size depending, right? You can't just start housing cars, but certain things.
I don't think we want to get into, housing people's Lamborghini collections. That could But trading cards are great because they're nice and small, and comics and things like this, like they don't take up a ton of square footage. So yeah, I think the future is super exciting.
So, and you kind of already touched on this, but maybe we touch on it one more time, is how do people join? The Vault program is live now, and how do people join the Vault program?
So again, there's an enrollment process. So if you're looking at a card And again, it's over the $250. Right now I'm on the hunt for a Holland card.
Nice.
In the soccer world, and that will be my next vault purchase. So, but if I were brand new and I purchased that, I would have there will be during checkout an opportunity to send it to the vault. And if you haven't enrolled, that will trigger that enrollment process for you. It's very, very fast. It's not, it's going to take you an extra 30 seconds to check out.
Got a few more questions before I let you go, and we appreciate your time here, Bob. I mean, I think this program, if there is people out there that are looking to kind of get into the game where they hold and they flip, I think this is like one of the best tools I've seen in a while, is being able to kind of get something that you think, like what I do with Shohei Ohtani. It's going to be hard for me to let him go, but if he comes out and he does what he's doing, it may double, and I could just at the click of a button. So, I mean, there's a great option, especially if you're getting in at the $250 price point, and you buy a few of those. There's that opportunity to get those right on the market as fast as possible, and get them into somebody else's hands with the click of a button on the eBay Vault app.
Yeah, I mean, the removal of shipping, it takes a little bit of the cost of doing business out for buyers and for sellers, which is going to be great. I always recommend that people buy people that they love, right? Buy people that you're interested in. But should you're, part of collecting is removing one asset to get another asset, right? Most of us don't have the joy of just adding to their collection. You have to get rid of something to get something else. And, the zero seller fee is going to be really, really supportive of that. If we start seeing anything like the days of Ja Morant shooting 50 points and suddenly, his cards are doubled in value overnight, the vault will be ready for that. You will be able to move things quickly if necessary. And I do think, I think it'll work for all spectrums of collectors. So whether you're short-term, medium-term, long-term, obviously, I think it's a great place for you to keep the card until you figure out what you're going to do with it. If you decide, I mean, a lot of people might decide, what, actually, I want it. I want it back.
Sure.
There is a withdrawal fee. So if I put something in the card to get it out, there will be a withdrawal fee attached to that. But that's also fine too. There might be a point in time where you make that decision. I'm never going to get rid of that Ohtani card. He's he might get on some historic bender of a batting average and a home runs and pitching, right? And you just like, this is a card I'm going to have to hold on to for the rest of my life. This is going to be a mantle someday, right? He's just that good. You can take it out if you want. In that situation, that's actually the prime reason to like leave it in there and not think about it and just let it just just stew in its appraisal, right? But so whatever the goal here is to hit different needs of different collectors, and I think the vault's going to be great at it.
So, let me just run through this again. So if I was to sell my said Shohei Ohtani card, and let's say, next year I sell it for $700, I get $700. There's no fees attached to that at all? Yeah,
you're done.
Wow. So that's like, 15-20% savings in a sense, right? I mean, I know certain people have different levels, but, that's at minimum a 10 to 15% savings.
Yeah, the goal here is to have those transactions stay in the vault. I mean, our hope is when you sell it, the person who buys it is leaving it in there as well. And so, there are some significant savings for the seller with this. And we think that this will enable people to build their collections appropriately because, again, like I said, having to sell some of your collection to fuel some of your collection is a natural part of the process. And this should make it a little easier.
Yeah, definitely. And now I know as of right now, it's just the cards you're buying are able to be sent to the vaults. But I assume and I like how your guys' approach is just to kind of learn and work it out as you go, and rather than take everything on full bore and make it a mess. But I'm assuming later on, maybe people are going to be able to maybe send things in, maybe submit to you guys at the National. Is that kind of in the works later on?
Yeah, we're working on that furiously right now. It's going to be, that's the next step. The goal here is that if you're sitting, so for pre-vault, for the last 5 years, you've been building up your collection. You've got, again, the drawers filled with cards. The closet is bursting. We think that there's a lot of great inventory out there that we would like to get into the eBay vault. So I think it's important for us to figure out how to do that in a way that's relatively seamless for you. Absolutely. I want to be at the National having a conversation with somebody and having them say like, hey, I just bought these, and I bought them with my son or my daughter, and we want to stick them in the vault until my boy or girl turns 18, and then I'm going to give it over
Sure.
to
Yeah.
and I want to be a part of that. I think that's super cool. And we see that we have those conversations, but a year ago we weren't able to follow through with it because we didn't have the vault yet. So now we do. So yeah, absolutely. Being able to be in hand or be able to do it from your home is going to be critical for us to figure out.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, we appreciate your time. We're excited. I jumped right in. I actually bought 5 more cards last night, so I think I'm up to like 8 cards now. And just not having to, as a busy dad, dealing with family when I'm not here. It's just I don't have to worry about it coming in and categorizing it. So looking forward to using the vault myself even more. And we'd like to thank you here at Mojobreak for your time and explaining the process.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, and have a happy holiday season.